The end. Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks, V. Okay. Hi, everybody. How are you? Hanging in there? Breath by breath? Still breathing? Barely. Good. Well, so what we do is at the very, very tippy top of the class is we do the prayer that's at the top of your chant sheet. It's a prayer to the goddess as Narayani. It's from the 12th shloka of, it's the 12th shloka of the Devi Mahatmya, the many hymns or praises to the goddess, more from the Hindu tradition, but Narayani is understood also as an aspect of Tara, the Buddhist goddess. So there are a lot of instances where there's a crossover. There aren't always such clear demarcations or boxes in terms of deities honored in the Hindu, Buddhist, and even the Jain traditions. And talk about that a lot in my book, actually, Embodying Tara, which I will talk about after we practice. So for those of you who are new, this prayer is translated also into English right below the Sanskrit, but we chant it in Sanskrit with a melody, a traditional melody that I learned from my Bengali teacher, Karabai Sen, who taught at CIIS for many years. And she taught a class on Hindu goddesses. It was a great class. And I asked her, because I know that Tara, the Buddhist, but the Tantric deity Tara, which means star or savioress, is also honored in the Hindu tradition. And so I asked her if she could share any prayers or hymns or mantras to the Hindu Tara. And she thought for a moment. She said, "Come back next week and I'll bring you something." And she brought this shloka. And she said, in the Hindu tradition, Narayani is also very much believed to be Tara. And actually in Bengal, you have a very sacred Tara shrine and holy site called Tara Pit, like Pith, which means, I believe it means place. And I have a dream of going there. I have not been. Someday I want to guide a pilgrimage with the theme of Tara sacred sites in India and Nepal, maybe Tibet. So we'll go there. So let's go ahead and close our eyes and take some deep breaths and give ourselves this juncture, this in-between, this bardo of the day into night, transitioning into our contemplative, more yin time of the day, you could say. Darkness, quietude, introspection. And it can be such a gift to be able to do this in community, in a group of others, feeling that support. You might not know anybody in this room, but we are here together practicing, and there's something so nourishing about that. Let's take a moment to arouse our heartfelt motivation, our intent for practice, called bodhicitta, this wish or motivation to engage in practice, not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of others as well. It's called the twofold bodhicitta, for self and others. And the Dalai Lama says the nice thing about altruism is that when we wish for the welfare of others, excuse me, I'm trying to figure out this mic. When we wish for the welfare of others, we also get the added boon or benefit of feeling good ourselves, right? So that is something that is quite um, special, magic about really opening our heart to feel and embrace and wish for the welfare of others, that we benefit as well. And we honor the land that we're on, this John Aloni land, those who came before us. And we can give thanks and gratitude for the earth, for our own ancestors, both genetically but also spiritually, our mentors and guides, giving thanks and gratitude to everything that brought us right here in this moment. And we'll chant the prayers 11 times together. I'll say it in a call and response way with you to teach you the melody first, and then we'll do 11 times together. Sharanagata dinarta, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute, Sharanagata dinarta, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti Hare Devi, Narayani Namostute. So we'll move right into our practice tonight. Meditation, if you need to shift, make sure you're comfortable. What we'll do is a two gatika session like we did last week, two segments of 24 minutes. I'll guide the practice and I will ring the bell at 24 minutes in, and that will signal if you wish. You can take a moment to shift, change positions if you need to, and then I'll ring the bell again to start the next 24-minute segment. This is a way to practice longer sessions. But also giving you a chance to attend to the body midway through if you need to. Now, if you don't need to, if you feel like you're in a good place, then don't move. Just hear the bell as an invitation to strengthen your mindfulness, like a mindfulness bell. And as usual, I invite you, if you prefer, you can always meditate lying down. And I've been doing that lately because of my own physical situation. So it's up to you. Either sitting upright with the legs crossed or in a comfortable position that's good for your knees. Zazen, parallel with the feet folded under, or up on a chair as well. The most important thing is to be in a good, comfortable position. That you can hold with relative stillness so that the mind can settle. So it's always nice once you land in your position, give yourself permission to, 15, 20 seconds, maybe tilt the pelvis forward and back a little bit. Make sure you're aligned with gravity, your natural plumb line. The knees are supported if they need that. Always the hips should be higher than the knees. So if the knees are up and hovering up off the ground, then get your hips up higher on a cushion or put a blanket underneath the knee if you need to. Then allow the eyes to close. And take some deep, luxurious breaths, releasing tension with the out-breath. And allowing this first sort of step into the pool, you could say, or the pond of meditation, this first moment here is letting yourself notice what's true for you right now in this moment, free of changing or fixing or applying a technique. Just breathing with what is. How are you feeling right now? And without kind of getting lost in thought, it's simply a coming into the moment and this quality of being here in this moment with whatever is, but without fusing with the content of the mind, observing it and being with it without fixing. Can you do that? The habit of the mind is to churn, to evaluate, and just noticing and almost like nodding to that part of your mind. Thank you. You got me through the day. Now you can take the back seat and then let a more diffuse quality of awareness start to come to the forefront, meaning a more relaxed, spacious, non-grasping quality of mindful awareness. Start to suffuse your body, suffuse the breath, and suffuse the mind. Notice if there's tension in the face, the eyes, the jaw. Really let the jaw go slack and the muscles of the face soften. Notice if there's tension in the shoulders, let the shoulders relax away from the ears. The arms, the hands relax. They can be palms down on your thighs. This helps to calm the mind. The spine is straight, the belly relaxed. Let the belly receive the breath. The low back, the kidneys, the sacrum soft. Sits bones rooted evenly on the cushion. The hips and legs comfortable at ease. Settling the body into stillness like a mountain at ease within itself and still. And yet even a mountain has movement. There's always little yang within the yin and yin within the yang. If you observe a mountain, you'll notice that the trees on the mountain are moving with the wind. Perhaps rivers or streams flowing. Likewise, the breath rising and falling. This natural ease of the body, not stiff, not held tight. Mostly still, mostly yin, but with a little natural ease and relaxation of movement. The yang within the yin. And once the body is established in its natural, easeful state, relaxation, feel the breath settling in its natural state. So we're not doing pranayama here. This is instead a mindfulness practice where we're simply mindful of the breath, whether it's deep or shallow. Let go of any control. And let the breath settle into its natural rhythm. Either breathing through the nose and or the mouth is fine. If the belly is tense, soften it. Let the breath massage the belt line and help you be soothed deeper and deeper into relaxation. And then settling the mind in its natural state. Let it rest open, evenly, vast, like the sky. So you may feel that you exist only within the confines of the body, but when you let the mind mix with space, when you let the mind learn from this feeling of spaciousness, you begin to feel those boundaries dissolve. And free of center and periphery, the mind, like space, is still, unbound, and unchanged by the content of that space. Likewise, the mind itself is unchanged by the content, the thoughts, memories, feelings. They come and go. But they do not change the nature of the mind, which is vast like space, clear, luminous, wakeful. This is settling the mind in its natural state, free of grasping, free of distraction, releasing distraction with the out-breath. And come back to that quality of awareness in the present moment. And if the mind needs a stronger anchor in the beginning, it can be nice to count the breath. So I invite you to do that, counting 1 to 21. A simple practice of inhaling at the top of the in-breath, internally count 1, and letting out the breath, breathing in again. At the top of the in-breath, count 2, a light touch. And attending to the sensations of the breath as it flows out of the body. Again, attending to the sensations of the breath, the top of the breath. Continue to count 3 and so on. We'll practice in silence 1 to 21 breaths. And when you've reached the 21st breath, if you wish, you can continue to count if that's helping the mind focus, concentrate. Otherwise, let it go and simply attend to the sensations of the breath, a natural, easeful breath as much as possible. And feel that spacious quality of the mind pervade thought, pervade whatever it is that comes into the field of your awareness. Stay with that quality of resting from the vantage point of awareness rather than the vantage point of thought. And feel that distinction between the two. Resting from the vantage point of awareness is like, in a sense, sitting back in your seat and taking a broader, more witness perspective. Like a director sitting back in the theater just watching the players on the stage, not invested, not overly reactive, just observing. Whereas if you rest from the vantage point fused with thought, then you are, in a sense, face planted with thought, identified with thought, wrapped up in the same old reruns. So eventually we grow tired of that. We can let that go, let go of the clinging, the grasping that keeps us fused with thought. Soften and again lean back and rest more from that witness quality of observing the contents of the mind without getting wrapped up in them. It's wakeful, clear, spacious, not spacey, spacious, sky-like nature of mind. When thoughts bubble up, let them naturally liberate themselves of their own accord. Relaxedly release and return to the breath and that quality of settling the mind in its natural state. Limpid, clear, wakeful, vibrant. Allow yourself to rest and stabilize in that. Just rest. This is either your mindfulness spell or an opportunity to shift positions, but do so mindfully without disturbing that quality of presence you've been cultivating so far. About 20 seconds or so to change or adjust. You're listening to your body. One of the most important aspects of meditation is the capacity to cultivate a deeper friendship with yourself. This is, in a sense, what is called metta, or sometimes loving kindness, but it has the actual meaning in Pali and Sanskrit of friendliness. Sometimes love or loving kindness feels a bit of a stretch, but can you connect perhaps more with this quality of turning towards yourself with a bit more friendliness, whether you're distracted, whether you're blissed out, this quality of turning towards with a benevolence, a kindness, a patience, and yes, a spaciousness, because a good friendship has plenty of space. And also of goodwill. Like even though we're all imperfect and fallible, at our innermost core, we are good. This basic goodness, this Buddha nature, the seed of awakening within each and every one of us, sentient beings. And we can trust that that is in us, however clouded or far away it feels. So as you meditate, cultivating deeper states of concentration and presence, in a sense, the cliff notes to that would simply be with more friendliness, turning towards the distraction and relaxing around it. With more metta, turn towards the sadness, the heartbreak, the fear, whatever you may find, especially those aspects of yourself you don't like a good friend, like you would do for a friend. Can you turn towards that and say, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Because guess what? You can't go anywhere. You will always be with you. You're not alone. So remembering that basic goodness within you and that quality of friendliness, friendship with yourself, this is self-metta or maitri. Let this pervade every aspect of your practice as well as your life, as much as you can. You're never alone. You're always here. And you can tell that to those aspects of yourself that feel afraid or not good enough or alone. And don't worry, I'm here with you. And then breathe and let yourself drop more deeply into a quality of relaxed presence, drinking from the wellspring within you. And if tears come, just breathe with the tears. Shake hands with the tears. Befriend the tears. If bliss comes, breathe with the bliss. Make friends with the bliss, but don't squeeze too hard because it'll slip away. So be with whatever is there with friendliness, but without grasping and without pushing away. Thread the eye of the needle by walking the middle path, free of extremes, of grasping and aversion. Can you be with yourself? Can you be? Just be. I'll invite you, if you wish, to practice for the last 5 minutes or so with the eyes open if you haven't already. If you prefer not to, that's okay too. Gently opening, if you wish, the eyes. Let them rest at a downward angle past the nose. And then let the gaze be soft. And see if this quality of mindful awareness can suffuse even the visual field and not fixating on the visual field per se, but it's like you're opening the meditative awareness to flood into that visual domain as well. Let the muscles behind the eyes be soft. Feel free to blink whenever you need to. And if you're familiar with Dzogchen practice, sky gazing, you can raise the gaze just above the horizon line. In either case, feel that you mix awareness with space. Mixing awareness with space. Let space teach the mind how to rest in that vast open quality like the sky. Release distraction as soon as you notice. Thoughts naturally liberate of their own accord, releasing back into the space of the mind from which they came, just like clouds forming and dissolving within the sky. No need to grasp or change anything. Just release and rest, settling the mind in its natural state. And now let's gently close the eyes, but without losing that feeling of spaciousness. And we'll close by chanting the mantra to the Buddha of Compassion, Avalokiteshvara. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om, the universal sound of consciousness. Mani is jewel. Padme is within the lotus, in the lotus. Hung is the awakened mind, heart mind. So Om, jewel in the heart of the lotus. Hung. This is our compassion mantra, and we'll feel this dedication of merit happening as we're chanting the mantra together, sending prayers and healing wishes to beings near and far, particularly to those in need. Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, take a moment if you want to stretch your legs out, move your feet. If you want to even stand up and do a forward fold, you can do that. Move your body, roll your neck. We'll transition for a little Dharma talk. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about my book that's coming out next week. On Tuesday is the official release date. It's called Embodying Tara, 21 Manifestations to Awaken Your Innate Wisdom. I thought I would maybe just talk a little bit about what it means to me, why I wrote this book, and then read a short passage from it. How does that sound? You guys here? I forgot I was going to say, any questions about the meditation? Or did you understand it completely? Did you achieve shamatha? Calm abiding? Perfect concentration. Do you like to chant? Yeah. Helps to uplift the spirit, especially during the dark, cold months. Good. No questions? Yes, okay. And say your name before you. Bogdana.
And the question maybe is around some sort of feeling that integration with space.
Yeah.
Sky,
Uh-huh.
and then feeling some tension between like the sky holding everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then this feeling of what is mine to hold.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Discernment. And
Uh-huh. Okay.
some sort of friction around that.
Friction is good. Creates heat. Tapas, which is a purifying heat. But it also brings us to question, which is good. So the question is around merging awareness with space. I repeat also for the people who are Zooming and they might not hear you. I don't know how they hear it. It's actually pretty good, isn't it? Do I have to repeat questions anymore?
Can we turn on the overhead lights for the question?
Yeah.
Portion? It should,
Okay. Yeah, so what is mine to hold versus that, sky that holds all of things, right? The space that holds everything, that kind of feeling of maybe a little bit of not confusion, but friction around that, right? Yeah, I think that there is a quality of holding when we're mixing awareness with space, but maybe not so much. It's not so much an issue of can I hold it all or should I hold it all? And I'm not saying you're asking that question, but there might be a feeling of like, I can't hold it all. Or, I think the sky is our teacher because it's not worrying about that, right? It's like it just is there. Yeah, and that's why we open our eyes and practice in nature as much as possible. In the Dzogchen tradition, the great perfection tradition of the Nyingma school within Tibetan Buddhism, which is my background. Same with Mahamudra as well, and in other traditions, we practice in nature a lot, and we let nature teach us. Yeah. So whenever you can get out and to practice in nature, please do that. Take a hike, then sit down for 5 or 10 minutes up on a mountaintop, or longer if you can. Be and practice in nature as much as possible, whether it's the mountaintop or the forest. We learn from nature. So that's what I love about Dzogchen in particular. They use natural metaphor a lot for meditative instruction. And one of the most popular instructions or commonly used instructions is mix awareness with space. Because it's said that awareness is like space, it's vast and unbound actually by just the body. And so in that sense, it's not held by the body, and the body doesn't have to hold it. It pervades all of our experience. It has the quality of knowing, and yet it is spacious like the sky. So it said the nature of mind is like space, but it's not the same. Why? Because it has that quality of knowing, cognizance. Okay, so that cognizance kind of holds everything in a way, doesn't it? But it's not like this kind of holding. It's more of like You deal with your self-holding. You know, it's like, I always like I don't know if this is going to help you, but the picture, the image of the mother tiger, the tigress. You know, she gives birth, she nurses, and then after a while she's like, go away. Just, I don't need to hold you the whole time. Enough. Kind of wish, like, we have 18 years, way harder than tigers. Yeah, and like the babies can't even hold their head up when they come out of our bodies, whereas these little animals, they're good to go. So in a sense, we're like, be more like the tigress rather than the human mom. Like, just you hold for a little bit, but then you don't need to hold. It's not your responsibility to hold it all. That is not, in my understanding, the implication or the intention of resting the mind vast like space. Yes, everything arises and passes within it, but that's happening naturally. We don't have to hold it. Okay? Yeah. Although there are sayings like I used last week, which is capture the citadel of awareness. So there is sometimes a quality of like, hold it, like when you get it, don't let it slip between your fingers. There's a quality of like locking in. And that also helps me a lot, but it's not a gripping or over efforting. It's like, when you find something good, don't let it go. Like you finally lock into samadhi. Don't just waste all that effort on fantasizing about what Netflix series you're going to get into next, this weekend. Like, hold it, but with spaciousness. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. So I don't know what's happening with this mic, Hannah. It's really weird. It's like made for a giant. It's like, I feel like it's going to either pick my nose or poke my eye. I'm fine. I'm just saying, like, maybe we can talk about it later, but I'm either like breathing into the mic or I'm, heavy breathing. I hope you could hear me during the meditation. Was the sound okay? Good. All right. Okay. So, this book you can read it cover to cover. It's got a nice extensive preface and introduction about Tara and deity yoga and what she means and what she represents and how we can embody her. And then each chapter is like a little reference chapter where you can just open to any one and say, oh, what's Tara 3 like? Or what's Tara 5 like? So it can also be more like a reference book. But I thought it would be nice. Okay, so I've always been a practitioner of Tara. It was her mantra was the first mantra I learned as a child. She is really like Mother Mary is to Christian or Catholics, to Tibetan Buddhists, Tibetans. She's Mother Tara. She's the matron saint of Tibet. And she's practiced so widely and beloved all across Tibet and within Tibetan and, Himalayan Buddhism in particular. But she originated in India during the medieval period, 600s, 700s. And many people know about like green Tara, maybe white Tara too. Sometimes people are familiar with red Tara, but not many people know about the 21 Taras. So like Avalokiteshvara, Tara in her many forms, primarily the green Tara, is known as the female Buddha of compassion. So you could say she's like Avalokiteshvara's sister or cousin. Although some origin stories say that she was born from his tears as he was observing the suffering of all beings in all the realms, or from his heart. But there are other origin stories too, where she was a princess in a different eon, like a different world system. And she developed bodhicitta. She wanted to become awakened for the benefit of beings. And the stodgy old monks in the monastery in that distant eon in a different world system said, oh, very, very good of you, but you should pray to first be reborn as a man so that you can benefit even more beings in a man's body. And she was smart enough to say, call bullshit and say, you guys are idiots. It doesn't matter. Man, woman, those are relative constructs, these relative terms. Like we're talking about nowadays with gender identity, gender, social construct, gender construct, sex orientation, whatever, whatever you believe, she was ahead of the curve. Buddhism was ahead of the curve because she said, I'll paraphrase, there is no man, no woman, no I, no other. Such dualistic ways of thinking are for the evil-minded. And for that reason, because not many beings pray to be reborn as women in future lives, I pray to be reborn again and again as a woman so I may benefit beings in a woman's body. So that was her prayer, as the Princess Wisdom Moon was her name, Jnana Chandra. And then the Buddha of that time recognized her brilliance, and he said, very good. He gave her refuge, bodhisattva vows. She practiced, she became a Buddha. And then she was named Tara. So her Buddha name is Tara, which means star, Tara, star, or the Savioress. So while this tantric text that the 21 Taras is based on praises Goddess Tara in 21 different stanzas, celebrating her 21 different forms, they say she's infinite like the stars in number. There's not just 21. That's just for ease. You're not going to be able to memorize a tantra with infinite shlokas, right? We need to essentialize. Okay, so do you want to hear just a paragraph or two? Is it even okay? I'll just read from the introduction. But yeah, this gives you a sense of the thrust of the book here. All right. The introduction, page 1. Tara, the beloved Buddhist goddess and female Buddha of compassion, manifests in 21 different forms, some peaceful, others fierce, with different enlightened qualities that can help us through the joys and hardships we experience. Just as a ray of light hitting a prism creates a rainbow, when Tara's enlightened intent illuminates the prism of your own mind, it manifests as a myriad of colors, sounds, symbols, and moods that reveal her compassionate power. The 21 Taras, iconography, mantras, and enlightened activities are expressions of different enlightened qualities, all radiating from the same source, the Great Mother, the womb of totality. I feel like I'm hallucinating reading this in front of everybody. This is the first time I've ever read my book in front of a group. Whoa, weird. Am I dreaming? Okay, as a fully awakened Buddha, Tara emerged from the slumber of ignorance and kept her separated from her true nature, true power, and true potential. In Tara, we may find themes similar to our own life and ways we have and can overcome obstacles to heal and embody our true wisdom and power. Tara's story helps us wake up to the ways we are asleep in our lives, dulled by an ignorance that clouds our luminous true nature. Understanding Tara's facets and history, the roots of her traditions and spiritual practices that originated in India and spread to Tibet and elsewhere, we are more able to appreciate, practice, and ultimately embody her wisdom and compassion in our lives. Last paragraph I'll read. Each pair of eyes that alight upon these pages will drift down the river leading to the great ocean of primordial consciousness, like candles floating on tiny leaf boats pushed out onto the river Ganga. In the Hindu tradition and the Hindu ritual called arta, whereby the candle represents our consciousness and the river, the bridge between our outer and inner worlds. As you read this book, you will set off on your own voyage with Tara, each of you drifting in different directions as your life's currents take you. Tara may appear differently to each of you, as she has for practitioners and artists who have depicted her through the ages. She may not always show up for you as she does in Buddhist ritual statues and paintings. She may come in dreams, visions, or as an internal voice of wisdom to guide you. Stay open to this. She is closer than you think. Yeah, so that gives you a taste of the writing and the mood and the orientation of the book. So this, you can get this, pre-order it now. You can also, it comes out officially on the 12th, next Tuesday, but we are having a book signing event here on the 16th, Saturday, December 16th. So it makes a wonderful holiday gift. And I'll sign it if you want to bring one you've already bought, or if you want to buy one here. It will be in this room. It will be festive. I have this whole vision, Green Tara's Pure Land is called the land of turquoise leaves. So we're going to have green and turquoise lights. I have those lights that light up the ceiling, and we're going to really have a festive feeling of an immersive experience of entering into the domain, the world of Tara. And I'll talk about the book. I'll read some passages, different ones, and we'll chant mantra, do a little meditation, and then book signing. There'll be tea, and you can mingle and talk, and it'll be fun. Did I say music? Our friend Ramana, the tabla player, who's come here a few times, he can come and play. So we'll also chant one or two of the melodies to the 21 Tara mantras that we've been composing. I have a group, we've formed the 21 Tara Collective, and we've written melodies to the mantras for each of these taras, which are in here. And so we'll do one or two of those. So if you like chanting, I think you'll enjoy that. Okay, so that's 6:30 to 8 on Saturday, the 16th. And we have a volunteer already, so we don't need anybody for that, right? We're okay? We need more?
Volunteers.
Yeah, if you want to volunteer. And come for free. Donations are accepted. That will help pay for the Olympics venue, but also any of my proceeds will go to the Ani Choying Drolma's Ani Foundation. It's a foundation that helps to bring education and health care and spiritual opportunities for Tibetan and Nepali nuns. So I'll dedicate my proceeds to that. Ani Choying Drolma is a Tibetan nun who is my second Tara. So each Tara has a real life corresponding, at least one, in this book where I talk about the lives of these women or women identified, female identified folks, or even broader movements that embody the enlightened qualities of each of the Taras. So in that way, it helps to bring them more alive in our life and in the world, because they can be kind of arcane, Okay, so that's that. Now I want to share a little bit about the Lojong slogan, because as you know, we move through the slogans of the mind training teachings of the great Tibetan master Chekawa Yeshe Dorje. We are on slogan number 21, which is in the 5th chapter, so to speak, or 5th point of the 7-point mind training system. So as you might recall, being in the 5th point, we started this 5th point like 2 weeks ago with the 19th slogan that said, all dharmas agree at one point. Do you remember that one? All dharmas agree at one point. And what was that one point? Liberation from self-fixation. Well, I'm sorry, were you saying something? Yes, exactly. Like realizing non-self. It's another way of saying that, like releasing fixation or self-clinging. That is said to be the source of our suffering and the suffering of every sentient being within Buddhism. And so then that was the 19th slogan. You can see it on your sheet. You all have the handout. And then the 20th, just for review, was another one, which is similar. It said, of the two witnesses, rely on the main one. And we had a little fun discussion about that last week. In this context, the main one of the two witnesses is oneself, ourself, meaning rely on yourself, trust yourself, be honest with yourself, and of course being honest with others. But rather than caring or relying on what other people think of you, rely on what you know to be true for yourself. How's my practice going in particular? How am I doing? How's my ego clinging doing? Am I developing a friendliness, metta with myself? Is that capacity growing in me? So that's the 20th slogan. Now, this 21st slogan, 21, we're doing a lot of 21 taras, 21 breaths, 21st slogan tonight. There's a lot of 21. We can talk about that in another class if you want. Why 21? So, who wants to read the 21st slogan? Can read it out loud, please. Somebody, a nice, full, strong voice.
Always maintain only a joyful mind.
Sounds easy, doesn't it? Always. Always maintain a joyful attitude or joyful mind. That's what yours says. Okay, good. Now that's, wow, okay, really? How am I going to do that? So on the surface, it seems overly simplistic, right? Always maintain a joyful mind, especially during the holiday winter season. It sounds maybe a little bit too simplistic to suggest that we could always be joyful. There's so much suffering in the world, and there's nothing worse than being told to cheer up when you're having a hard time. So that's not what this slogan is doing. This slogan isn't really about pretending to be happy when you're not, or forcing yourself to think or feel in a certain way. But instead, they say it's like a gentle prod, a gentle reminder for you not to lose perspective, not to lose perspective. So what does this mean? It does not mean that you don't care about the suffering in the world, the suffering of others, or the problems around us, or even our own suffering. What it means is that we can loosen our grip and keep our sense of humor, even when things aren't going so well. And I have to say, from firsthand experience, humor has been a lifeline for me in these last couple of years of chronic pain. I mean, like, it's easy to get despondent, but when we've got humor, we'll take it, like, bring on the humor, please. I think when you experience suffering in your life, I know I'm not the only one, we can, in a sense, really appreciate the importance of humor and joy. Passage on that. I wish I had thought to read that, but you'll have to find it for yourself about joy. There's a wonderful poet who talks about joy. Guy, what's his name? You know this poet? Guy something. Guy Ross. Exactly. Guy Ross. Huh? Ross Guy or Guy Ross? I think it's Guy Ross. It could be. They could both be first and last names. In any case, yes, thank you. Beautiful poet and writer and thinker. Check him out if you're not familiar with him. But he talks about how, like, you can't have joy without sorrow, and in fact, this kind of celebrating the joy in our culture, in our life. He's a Black man, so he talks a lot about joy within the African American community and how important that is in the face of racism and so on. And that kind of collective communal joy is in itself an act of resistance, being joyful in the face of suffering. Racism, misogyny is its own act of resistance. And I thought that was really cool. And it also points to the duality, like, without suffering, we wouldn't have joy. Without joy, we wouldn't have suffering. It's like without day, we wouldn't have night. Without night, we wouldn't have day. Without white, we wouldn't have black, and so on. It's duality. So joy is important, and yet it springs from sorrow, right? And then likewise, sorrow can spring from joy because everything's impermanent in samsara, in case you didn't notice. Just wrapping this up in terms of good cheer, for the holiday season. If good cheer is dependent on pleasant circumstances in our lives, it will constantly be interrupted. So let's choose our priorities. Um, what do we want more than anything else? Is it possessions, praise, reputation, good health? If more than anything else we desire to have bodhicitta, a compassionate, awakened heart, illumination, liberation, this mind of wisdom, if our highest priority is the cultivation of these two bodhicittas of compassion and understanding emptiness, then this focus is the key that makes it possible to cultivate and accomplish a constant sense of good cheer. Okay, so that's what they're getting at from a deep Dharma perspective. That's the practice. And I don't want to generalize, but when I was in my early 20s, I lived in Dharamsala in North India in a Tibetan refugee settlement where the Dalai Lama has his government in exile based. And despite the hardship, losing, their homeland, losing family, friends, parents, children, there was a quality of good cheer that blew my mind, like way better than anything I cultivated growing up in privileged Southern California, you know? So there's a kind of a dignity that comes from really putting these practices of Lojong and bodhicitta, having them come alive within us and in our life, not just on the cushion. And so in that way, I experienced living amongst Tibetans, this quality of that inherent good cheer. Was it constant? No. Was it perfect? No. But there was more buoyancy and a sense of internal dignity than I had seen anywhere else in my life at that point, and since, honestly. So even in the midst of the vicissitudes of life, it's about cultivating that equanimity, that quality of good cheer within the face of it all. So when bodhicitta is our highest priority, any kind of circumstances, any circumstance is an opportunity for practice, is an opportunity for us to test, okay, how can I find the joy or the humor? If you can't connect with joy, if it seems too pedantic, replace it with humor. Can you have a sense of humor even in the hardest of times? Yeah, I think we'll end with that. Oh, yeah. The other thing I wanted to share, which I thought was interesting, I don't talk very much about this in this class, but each of these four measurables of love, compassion, equanimity, and joy have what are called near and far enemies. And one little nuance, like for example, the far enemy of love is hate, right? That makes sense. But the near enemy of compassion is sadness. So the far enemy, let's say, of compassion is like a disconnect, like not caring. That's a far enemy. Then a nearer enemy is actually sadness that overwhelms us and makes us incompetent of doing anything, right? We get overwhelmed. And I think a lot of us have been feeling that now, last year, the year before, the year before. No, it's never going to stop. It just changes a little bit. So the near enemy of this compassion, of bodhicitta, is sadness. But understand it's a transitional state. Sadness should be. Let it be a transitional state. Don't get stuck in it. Yes, let it come through you. We all need to cry. I cry every day. But let it be a transitional state and a precursor to genuine compassion. Don't get stuck in sadness necessarily, but see it as a bridge to compassion. Compassion is feeling for another, and it's having this sincere wish to relieve the suffering of others. That's what compassion is defined as in Buddhism. So, for example, when sadness arises, you can imagine instead thinking, okay, I'm sad, this sucks, but how can I be of benefit through this? How can this fuel my action or my prayers? to be of benefit in some way. And then they say, and constantly resort to cultivating good cheer, even in the face of adversity. Yeah. So that's the 21st slogan. Okay, so next week, we're not going to do Lojong. We're going to do feeding your demons. So if you're stuck in sadness or depression or dread of seeing family over the holidays or whatever, or not seeing family over the holidays, come on down and feed a demon. Take care of your inner life. And if you are planning on coming, register early because it does fill up. This is a popular thing. I only do it every 2 months or so. Tell a friend. Everybody's welcome, new and returning folks. And I guide the whole group, but you're very much internal. You know, you're not having to talk about your demons to the whole world. You know, you get to be in your own space as you move through the 5 steps of feeding your demons. Yeah, it's a nice community, a good space. So don't be shy about that. If you feel that's weird, I don't want to go in a group and feed my demons. I would feel that would be weird, honestly, but I did it. And after that first time, I was hooked because it actually felt very supportive to be doing it in a group of folks. So, okay, everybody, have a good night. Have some tea. Enjoy community out there. Anything else you want to share with the group?
I will announce one event that we have coming up this weekend on the 10th. That's Sunday. We have an arts workshop called Awakening Creativity, and it's going to be kind of like a combination of meditation and movement and improv arts practices. So if that's something that's of interest to you, yeah, that'll be Sunday from 4 to 6.
Nice. That sounds fun. Who's teaching it?
Smiko McCall.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Is it also a donation?
I can't remember if that was donation or certificate, but yeah, you can register ahead or just come and register at the door. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Take care. Yeah. Thank you.
And if you could stack the questions very neatly with the figures to the back, that would be helpful.